guys?
Hey,
Sorry.
Jairo.
Yeah.
Hi, Jairo. How
Hi,
you
how are
doing?
you?
Is everything good with you?
Yeah, everything's good. I just had a problem. Sorry. Sorry, let me change something here. Um, okay, there you go. So how's everything going?
Great, thanks.
Great. You're
Dropping
you're
off
Oh,
my daughter at school.
you're driving?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Where did it
what about you,
go?
Jairo? All good?
It's all
We're a little
good.
worried.
It's all good. Last night, a very close friend of mine lost a relative, and we went to the house with him because they don't have the body yet because that person is in the U.S. Well, the
Oh,
body
okay.
is still in the U.S. Um, so it was kind of hard because I mean, I think losing someone is never, it's never. I mean, it's always hard, and
Yeah,
especially if it is a very close relative or, in this case, my friend, right? So, but yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
yeah,
It's never easy to let go and to
yes,
accept.
yeah. So, but anyways, I'm just um, I'm just opening something here. Hey, it's Wednesday already. Oh man, lately I think that the days are just passing by, and sometimes I'm afraid because I'm like, oh man, I'm not I think the years are gonna go by like real quick, and then I'm gonna be 70, 88 years old and not enjoy them. I think sometimes life is just working, and that shouldn't be the case. Sorry, let me get some water. I'll be back.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Jairo,
Hey,
just a quick question. But are you okay having the class today?
yeah, yeah, I'm good. But thank you. Um,
Yes,
it's
you sound a little tired, or maybe you didn't sleep well. I mean, it's completely understandable.
no,
Just
yeah, it totally makes sense, but yeah, it's okay. It's all good. Um, but that's so kind of you asking that. No
yeah, no
worries.
worries. Just let us know.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna continue with the topics that we've been seeing this past week and also yesterday and also on Monday as well. So I'm gonna be talking about a topic which is asking questions. There is a typo here. It should be asking questions. Asking questions. Okay, so asking questions in meetings, right? So meetings are a major part of most businesses. Okay. Knowing what to question is crucial if you want to prove your place as active and integral part of the workforce. I want to show you some tips. Why do you asking questions is not a matter of just asking questions in meetings. There's there's more to that. Um, I'm always thinking that whenever somebody's gonna ask a question in the meeting, it has to be either important, a very good question, and not just because that person is going to just to speak, just to say whatever, right? Um, so I have the first item here, which is clarify the purpose of the meeting. So why are we here? What's our end goal? How does this serve our mission? What's critical task or the agenda today? What do we need to accomplish at the end of the meeting? So have you ever been in a meeting when somebody asks a question that is not so let me stop sharing for a bit. Have you ever been in a meeting where somebody asks a question and it's not like maybe not that important, but you're like, this could have wait or whatever.
Yes, yes, many times. And sometimes people ask questions about things that have already been said in the meeting.
That's one of the scenarios. Yes.
And I think that questions should be made, first of all, clear, like maybe short, to be as clear as possible, and meaningful questions. Questions that will
Oh
add
yeah.
value, and that will help the the meeting to be clarified, or a point to be clarified, or the meeting to move on, because maybe
Yes.
sometimes we get stuck in at some point.
Yeah. Agree. Um, that something that's gonna help us as well to move on and not get us stuck. I think that's you made a point there. Um, having someone ask a question of something that was just said or was very clear to everyone. Like an example could be like, okay, so we're gonna meet tomorrow again at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Okay, so and then somebody says, okay, so we're meeting tomorrow at 8 p.m. I mean, if you're like just confirming, okay, so we're meeting tomorrow at 8 p.m., right? So, but if somebody says or asks rather and say, so what time are we meeting tomorrow? Man, I just said it 8 p.m. um, or that would be a question, not a very appropriate question. And then, or if somebody else asks something like, rather than moving forward, would get us stuck. That's right. What else?
something about weird questions. Probably not like the one that Michelle said, but it happened to me a couple of times that we have a specific topic for a meeting, but at the end, most of the questions are not related to the topic of the meeting, are related for
Mhm.
other things that we didn't discuss during the meeting. And probably they need to confirm, they need to discuss about those things, but it is not the right time, right? Because the meeting was intended for other reason. It was another purpose for the meeting, but I have had a couple of times that people are asking about things that we didn't check or we didn't review during the meeting, right? Just because they need to confirm something, right? Something else.
Yes, that's right. Um, I was looking for you mentioned something very important as well. I had an article at this one. I was looking for this as you speak. Oh, where did it go? And there's always and always there should be a like a relationship between or a relation um of a question between on what's been discussed and what you're asking and what the other person is asking as well, because otherwise it's gonna get us off the topic or get us off track. And maybe the meeting is supposed to be about a new tool system that we'll be using, and then somebody else is asking about something that's a little bit off. So then that will get us off track and lose in the end the end goal of the meeting. Um, how do you what do you think about writing down questions and asking them in the end, brother? Or what kind of person are you when you're asking questions? Do you just um, unmute yourself and shoot your question, or you put them somewhere? What do you do? What do you do, and what do you think is best?
Well, I rather like I don't necessarily write my questions, but the questions that I have, I like to gather them maybe in my mind or typing them. And in the end, if some is if one of the questions that I have hasn't been already answered, then I ask the question, because sometimes we ask questions and the speaker says, yes, that's my next point, maybe in some cases. And I'm not saying that what I do is best, because I have colleagues that ask many questions and powerful questions
Yes.
that are very important and that help the speaker to clarify their point.
Mhm.
So I can't say if um, one or the other way is best or
Mhm.
better, but yeah, that's what I do.
And that's good. I think in the end, it's gonna be your call and your own judgment if you're gonna do a question right on the spot or you're gonna hold it to the end. Um, Sometimes as well, the chair of the meeting or the host of the meeting will let us know at the beginning, like, hey, any questions that you guys have, leaving them to the end, leave them to the end. Um, because maybe the time for the meeting is short, or maybe the time for the meeting is not going to give us like and that's my next point, which is keep the be concise and clear, but clear. And sometimes we're not concise or clear, and some people are like giving the round around when they ask questions. So that's why sometimes it's better to hold them to the end, or depending on the chair of the meeting, we can ask them in between, right? But I think it's going to be our call. It's going to be our own judgment. But sometimes the chair of the meeting will let us know, like, if questions go at the beginning or go in the end. It will depend as well on the, I mean, every single meeting varies from one to another. Like my meetings are that way. Your meetings, well, I don't know. I think do they let you just ask questions or whatever, or how do you guys do that? Like whenever you join a meeting, what are the instructions they give you? Or they or it's just a meeting and you just join and that's it. How are your meetings? Anybody can answer it.
In my case, it depends if it is an informal meeting or it's a formal meeting.
Hmm.
The informal meeting because within the team we have like daily meetings, so it is
Yeah,
just not for update but just for giving some information about if you have a blocker on your work, what activities are you are doing, right, and what
yeah.
activities you're going to do. So it is pretty informal, right? So in that case, we got straight to the point, right? We didn't introduce anything, we didn't tell anything about the meeting, unless there is a specific topic that we would like to discuss.
Hmm.
But when it is a formal meeting, probably, usually what I see is that the the person who's sharing the meeting just give a brief introduction about what's the main goal of the meeting, what's the main topic, and probably what's the roadmap from the middle.
Right.
For
Yeah.
example, going through the agenda, right? So the introduction, then we're going to discuss these topics, and then we're going to, I don't know, see a video or something like that. And at the end, we will have a Q&A section, right? Something like
Okay. All right. So yeah, and as you say, and as I said it before as well, I think it will depend whoever is conducting the meeting, and but okay. In the end, it's our own judgment and call. Now, my next tip that I was gonna give you is be concise but clear. Be concise but clear. In my opinion, we Latin American people, I don't know why, but we tend to do the round around when we're asking a question, or we're wordy in our sentences when we say our point of view, or we ask questions as well sometimes. Now, there is a difference between be concise and clear and also be rude when asking questions um, in meetings. So being rude, I think, is gonna be an example. Would be like, I don't know. I don't even um, think about an example because I'm not kind of rude when asking. But be concise and clear is very important. Why do you consider being concise but clear is important when we ask a question? Brian or Ricardo?
I mean, I think it's important because when you are like this person that you're worthy, that you like give a round of maybe not context, but the
Hmm.
problem is that you probably will lost attention from the other persons in the meeting.
Hmm. Yeah.
So maybe the point that you're trying to explain or something will be lost for most of the persons there, most of the people there.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's, you don't want that. You want that everybody can understand what you're saying and give it the full attention that they can give to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, and also being clear when we're asking a question. Sometimes maybe in our head, whatever we're asking is clear to us, but to them it might be not that clear. That's why as well putting someone into context first before asking the question as well is important. I think if the meeting is about something new and then we're trying to relate that to something that I don't know, any other tool that we're currently using or that we used in the past, we can put that person into context and say and ask the question. Always make the question to someone in a way that they will understand it or very well, very clear. And in our case, and that's the reason why we have to exaggerate and articulate more, is because um, English is not our native language. So um, even sometimes here in Spanish, when we're talking, sometimes we don't understand each other because we're just mumbling. We're not articulating the words, and so even sometimes between us, we don't understand each other. So now, especially when we talk to English native speakers, it's the time when we should articulate more because sometimes they go like, okay, so sorry, what was it again? Or hey, can you repeat your question again? Or what's your question again? Or they will just go like, what? Because they didn't understand us. If it was a short question and if we don't articulate, they will not understand us, and they will go like, what? Or what was your question? Now, can you imagine if we're explaining the whole scenario and then ask the question and they will go like, "Oh, I didn't understand. What's your point? What's your question?" We're gonna be like, "I mean, man, I've been talking for quite some time already," and repeating yourself again is not gonna be something comfortable for you. That's why every time I ask a question to my, upper management in meetings, I'm like articulating a lot more than I usually do. I have another one, which is, I think this one is very, very, very important. Either if it is a meeting here in El Salvador within our people, or especially if it is with somebody that we're not very familiar with. And this one is avoid making speaker uncomfortable. Avoid making the speaker uncomfortable. What do you think about that one? Avoid making the speaker uncomfortable.
I think it's quite clear. I mean, uh, you want to be like, you want to have your you want to be like having full of to be comfortable enough, because if you don't feel like comfortable, maybe you're the speaker in that situation, or maybe someone else is the speaker in that situation. Sorry, situation. If you're not feeling comfortable, what happens? Most of the time, you will lose focus on the minor details. Maybe somebody else looking uh, at the window for a brief moment, and you will understand that he's not paying attention or she's not paying attention. And if you're not comfortable enough, you maybe will lose. Uh, I don't have the word, teacher. Sorry.
You can look for a synonym or just go
Uh,
to the next.
yeah, I mean, you will not have like the full confidence.
Hmm.
You will lose your confidence about your topic. Maybe you will like, oh, they are not paying attention. Maybe I'm boring. I'm not comfortable enough. And that will actually uh not that will I'm not actually I don't have the word for these two. It's the opposite of improve. Uh, that will decrease. I mean, I'm not sure actually, but I think you got my idea.
Yeah. You mean like decline, or it would be like diminish as well, or get somebody,
Diminish, I think.
yeah, yeah, down about something. Um, but but there is another point as well. Like when we say avoid making the speaker uncomfortable, you were saying something important, because like if me right now, like I'm presenting, I'm talking to you, and then you're gonna be like with your phones, like of course you can check your phones or do something else, because I mean you're home, you're in business hours right now. So but if you're like all the time like checking your phone, or talking to somebody next to you, and then I ask you a question and you're like, what again? Sorry, I was, um, that's gonna make me uncomfortable. Okay. So in meetings as well, that can happen. And sometimes we might be looking at this, camera, like we are paying attention, but then somebody, in reality, we're not. We might be doing something else in our heads. And then when somebody asks us a question, and then somebody asks me a question, and then I'm gonna be like, um, sorry, what was it again? That can make also the speaker uncomfortable. But there are a lot more scenarios. What would be another? What would be
I
another
can
scenario where we can make someone uncomfortable?
I can give you an example, but I will give a comment first.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Making a person feel uncomfortable, I believe, this is personal, right? I believe it's a little bit complicated because it could be something very subjective.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe you are asking questions, direct question, because and we know it, right? American people, Indian people, European are very direct, right? They are
Yeah.
not speaking a lot just to get an answer, right? They go direct to the question, a yes no question sometimes. And we Latin people are different, right? So um, maybe they are not in. The intention is not to make a person feel uncomfortable, but because of the culture, because of the way they speak, we and the other person or the speaker could feel it like they are attacking me, right? So I don't feel comfortable anymore. So probably that's my opinion, right? That is a little bit subjective.
And that's my main goal with all of this tips and whatever. We're like that. Latin American people were like that. But if we're joining these meetings where it's like people from the US, and the other Indian people, or the other person, the people that you may mentioned, we should be like them as well when we're in the meetings. Um, not being rude, but going asking straightforward questions. Okay, like the way they ask to be asked the questions, or the way that they like to ask questions as well. I agree 100% with you. Um, what if sometimes, and it happens in the meetings that I am in. I remember a time when we were to use a new tool in the company. Nobody knew how to use the tool, and the only person that knew how to use the tool, that person was new. She was new, and she was the one to deliver the training in our meeting. She's not a trainer. She's not good at speaking, especially if there are like a lot of people in the meeting. So she was like nervous, And she was nervous because she was in front of a lot of people. And then second, she was nervous because she didn't know much about the tool. And so me asking or somebody else asking a question like, hey, can you explain us more about this function here? When she just mentioned that she didn't know much about the tool, she was not an expert, me asking questions like that, it would make her uncomfortable. Why? Because we are put, or I am putting her on the spot. And we can put people on the spot real quick with things. Mine is just an example. But you being in the meeting, people can put you on the spot. That will make you a lot uncomfortable, and it will be noticeable. But you can also put someone on the spot as well. Have you
I
ever
think
done it?
I think that is especially true when the people is quite uh shy. So
Yeah.
yeah, so if you put the person in the spot when that person is especially shy, that will be really uncomfortable, not only for the person, but for
Mm.
everyone, because you will notice when someone is shy and don't wants to speak. And yeah, that's quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, especially when somebody is shy as well, and we're like putting them on the spot. That's right. What else? How else can we put someone on the spot? Maybe a general scenario or a scenario where you've been in. You're muted.
Maybe,
Oh yeah.
yeah, thanks. Maybe referring to someone about what they said before, like saying, I would like to refer about Benjamin's point when he
Mhm.
said that, 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 that.
That would put someone on the spot.
Sort of,
Why would that put someone on the spot?
because you refer you to something that one person said, and
Mhm.
you put light to that, to those words,
Oh,
or to those statements.
oh, I got you. I got you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's correct. Or especially if what and I think that would be even worse, especially if somebody said or asked something a few minutes ago and it was not meaningful, it was not important, it didn't bring anything to the table, it didn't bring anything to the meeting. And if we're referring to, okay, so sorry, I got a question. Okay, yeah, what's your question? Hey, I'm not gonna ask something related or something similar to what this person asked. My question is important. Okay, that's why I'm interrupting. I mean, how can you say someone, of course you're not gonna say something like that, because you would put the other person on the spot, stating that the person didn't ask a proper question to the meeting. But as well, the chair of the in and I'm gonna finish with this. But also the chair can put us on the spot. And here's the most important thing in the meeting. Um, what Ben was saying, like, hey, asking very clear and concise questions is the key because they're very straightforward, and we have to be very straightforward as well. And also asking meaningful questions, because what's going to happen if we are in meetings with upper management, Indian, Chinese, or US people? We need to know what to ask. We need to know how we're going to ask them. How am I going to identify that? If I am with people here in my country, well, I know how to ask. But if I'm talking to a person who is in the US and I know that that person is straightforward, I have to be that way. But then if I talk to someone who is in India and maybe that person has a hard time to understand English because they're not native either. So then as well, we need to ask how to ask that person. So identifying like what ways we're gonna be asking questions with different people, it's a key as well. That's the second. And then third, which is the last one, we need to be careful with the type of questions that we'll ask. And with this, I mean not asking dumb. I mean, there's no dumb question, of course, but sometimes people ask like real dumb questions. And so we need to be careful with that, because if we ask once one question like that, and then again I ask something that, hey, we're gonna meet tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Okay, so what time are we meeting tomorrow? I mean, I just said 8, man. Okay. So then if we keep on asking questions like that, so then people will have they will say, I mean, Hyder again. I mean, here he comes with another question like that. So keep that in mind. I mean, of course, I know you know that already, but it's um, that's good to have a refresh. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. I want to thank you for your time, and sorry I joined late, but I really had a butt time. All right, so
No
talk to you guys
worries. We
tomorrow.
understand.
No worries. No worries.
All right, ciao.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye.